The Notorious curb nudge. It's not that hard to do, it's just extremely tricky. Now's the time. I want to see your full effort. I want to see you get up onto this curb. What's up, everyone? I hope quarantine's not been too rough on you. I just had a kidney stone, so that was like 9 days of hell. But I also still have a job, so I can't really complain, because this is a really, really bad time for a lot of people simply just trying to make ends meet. It's also a really bad time for mental health. You know, our sanity is so fragile, and yet it's all too easy to lose track of what keeps us sane. And personally, I think the best way to keep yourself in check is by simply going outside. Just go do something like a walk or a bike ride, or my personal favorite, one-wheeling, an actual activity that requires social distancing. You see, there's nothing inherently dangerous with simply being outside. It's getting close to people or touching things that's the actual danger. As long as you can mitigate those risks, you can actually go about in public safely. I mean, it's why we're still allowed to go to grocery stores, as long as we maintain social distancing. So in this video, I'm gonna try to safely teach my friends how to do one of the most requested one-wheel tricks out there. It's called a curb nudge, and it's when you're able to actually get your one wheel up a curb from like the street to the sidewalk. It seems to defy physics, but it's actually very doable, and I'm gonna see if I can get my friends to learn how to do it. Enjoy watching what I'm sure will be a lot of flailing and failing. The Notorious curb nudge. It's not that hard to do, it's just extremely tricky, because there are 3 things you gotta do in very rapid succession, and if you don't do them in the correct order, it just doesn't happen. And the first one is my favorite, the skid stop. So it's just like extreme braking. The second thing you're gonna need to practice is just practice getting your nose up onto a curb without even trying to go up it. And then the last thing, the foot motion. So you're jumping off of your back foot, and then your front foot here on the curb is just sliding forward. So those are the 3 main things we need to practice. And then we can actually try working on the actual nudge up. Let's go ahead and get in a circle here, and I want to see your guys' skid stops.
Oh, I gotta come off sooner.
That's basically it, though.
Grills in my mouth, double as a freeze room.
Nice.
You have to fully take your foot off the front pad, or else you keep going forward.
Ooh, and he walks away.
These guys basically get the general idea. Now it's just a matter of practice. You take what you're learning right now, and you just gotta just do it over and over again until you start really feeling it. I'm actually really impressed with how fast Jake's picking it up too. He just got his one wheel over the weekend. So now that we've kind of gone over the skid aspect of it, you wanna practice actually getting the nose of your one wheel up onto a curb. You're not trying to climb it yet, you're just kind of getting comfortable with that sort of motion. It's a very delicate mechanic here, because you have to actually slide into the curb, pressing your front foot down to accelerate the wheel up the curb before you actually make contact. Because if your wheel makes contact with the curb before you've actually started trying to step up, you're just gonna bounce off of it and you're gonna go onto the curb and the wheel's gonna stay on the street.
Nice, Jake.
And then once you kind of get used to that, then start trying to practice the skid stop into the curb.
All right, you passed.
So we're slowly starting to combine these few elements together. The next step is actually the flick of the foot, and arguably that's the hardest part. The reason for the skid stop is because you're actually jumping off of that back foot. And so once you're about to actually hit the curb, your front foot slides into it, and as your back foot is completely weightless on the back part of the foot pad, the board just kind of climbs up. It's like you're trying to stab the sidewalk with your toes. That's what will keep the one wheel going forward. All right, guys, now's the time. I want to see your full effort. I want to see you get up onto this curb. Dean, you're being too aggressive. Jake, Nico, you're not being aggressive enough. Okay. Keep your knees bent.
So you want the nose to hit the curb before the tire does?
Yes. Jake is surprisingly the closest one so far, and he just got his one wheel yesterday.
In martial arts, people who have learned less actually can learn new skills faster, because somebody who's been, in this case, one-wheeling for a long time, they've like developed really hard patterns. And for like new people like me and Jake, it's just like, this is all new, so it's just kind of like the learning comes a little bit easier.
Well, for Jake.
Well, I mean...
Yeah, you're skidding way too late, Nico. It's a very tricky trick. I will be incredibly surprised if anyone gets this. It took me an entire day of practicing before I finally got it. Be aggressive, Nico! definitely got it, Jake. You just gotta practice it now. I would recommend trying to start skidding way sooner. Wow, dude. It's really hard to overstate how important it is to really just jump off of your back foot with all your might and just stabbing that front foot forward way sooner than you expect to. Didn't pop my nose.
Stop, unless I stop.
Oh my god! He did it! He actually did it!
Do it again. Ready, go.
Two in a row!
The forward motion is really for your upper body so that you can pop and move the board forward. But you don't actually want the board to be moving that much when it contacts the curb. You want there to be just enough pressure so that your body's forward momentum digs into the nose and then brings up the behind with it. The final rule is do everything possible you can do to not fall once your feet are back on the board. That would have taken me way longer had it not been for your teaching, Sensei.
Like, I want to give you a hug, but I won't. I'm legitimately impressed. I even hosted a one-wheel curb clinic with the Los Angeles one-wheel group here, and like 20 people showed up, and not a single one of them got it.
This board has only maybe less than 10 miles on it. Wise Professor Wren. Broke it down in steps that were easy to understand, easy to follow, and easy to do together.
Now, I would recommend having float plates when you do this. Jeff McCoster from the Float Life actually makes them. We're also distributed on Craft and Ride, 2 amazing sites to get all of the one-wheel accessories you might possibly want, but I highly recommend picking up a pair of float plates. They'll protect your board from this kind of damage. First take, first try. So now I'm gonna try something a little different. I'm gonna dedicate a different Patreon name to a different curb for every name. Glitch Cube. Alan Almanza. Notak, Canadian Spy. Philip Oxford. Harris Regipagic. CG Lemonade. Jordan. Matisse Butker. Sunil S. Robin Chow. Dre Dwyer. Thank you to everyone who supports us on Patreon. We've also got a website up and running if you are interested in that sort of thing. But yeah, hope you continue to stay safe out there. It's a crazy time. There's still probably gonna be some people who think we shouldn't be here at all. And I mean, they've kind of got a point, but I do think that we are trying really hard to mitigate risk. We are not touching each other, we're not coming close to each other, we're wearing masks and staying outside of each other's bubbles. That's the really key thing here. We're not really being dangerous. Just be responsible.